Hey, what is up everyone? Today I'm taking a look at the Robot Spirits Gundam NT-1 for anime from Mobile Suit Gundam War in the Pocket. So first off, I have to say I absolutely adore the Vernier figures and try and get my hands on them anytime that I can. These, to me, are vastly superior to the Robot Damashii figures I would have known back in, I'm not sure when, 2012-ish, 2013? Those were not as awesome as these are right here. These, like it says on the box, are of the first generation, aka the original Gundam series. This right here definitely is not from that, but I guess they are moving through the early UC suits. Just look at all that extra stuff in here. This tiny little box really comes packed full of stuff. We've got a whole bunch of beam effects, hands, weapons, damage parts, explosions, thruster effects. There is a lot going on in here. The NT-1 itself, the Alex, looking pretty cool in here, so I guess we might as well start off by checking it out. So anyway, there's the NT-1 just out of the box, nothing moved, that's how it looks. So as far as I know, the Robot Spirits figures are always non-scale, but this looks almost high-grade size to me, so I grabbed the Revive here, running on in to check that size comparison, and honestly, this looks pretty much 1/44th scale. I don't know how big the Alex is meant to be compared to the standard Gundam. I think they're the same, so actually, let's find out. So there is the Master Grade, or X78-2, and the Master Grade Alex, which are both the exact same scale, so looking like they are pretty much in and around the same height. And you may notice, if you watch my videos very often, that the Alex back there, the Master Grade, is in the exact same pose that it was in the thumbnail since back then. Hasn't been moved since. But anyway, so far so good and looking great. Let's get it spinning. So once again, this is just what it looks like right out of the box. I haven't done anything but just pop it onto this spinning base. This is one incredibly nice looking figure. We've got some minor detailing all over the place, painted pretty much perfectly as far as I can see. No screw ups, no nothing like that. I'm not seeing any of those little kind of nub marks that you sometimes see on figures. We've got some nice decals here and there, shiny eyes, and the whole thing is pretty much perfect. This is beautiful. So the only real negative aspect about this that really stands out to me is this little bit of a screw up on the back of the leg. Like they cut the part a little well. Too much and roughed it up. I've done the same at model kits, so I understand why it happened, but quality control. So when it comes to Ver-Anime Robot Damashii figures, one of the biggest selling points, one of the two biggest selling points, is the articulation. The other one is the incredible array of accessories you get in the box, which I'll take a look at later, which are interchangeable with other Ver-Anime figures. The articulation in general is designed to capture what these look like in the anime, so they still have a bit of a cartoony vibe to them. Gunpla is always trying to go the hyper-realistic, what would it look like in reality kind of route, but these are trying to go for that old school lost feel. I've been playing around with this a little bit and the articulation is quite good. I haven't been looking into what it can do and can't do yet. I haven't even looked at the manual, but from what I'm seeing so far and just from a little bit of playing around, the articulation is very nice, but it seems not quite as over the top as a couple of these I've seen before. However, it's still fantastic. So jumping right into the articulation now, and I took a look at the instructions because there's a few things on this that I didn't even know that were there. So let's take a look at them. So the head is double jointed, so we do have a giggity 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 goo, a little one. There's the head looking all the way down, looking all the way up. Can we get a little more out of that? Yeah, we can. Side to side tilt is next to non-existent, and then it can look side to side like so. The shoulder joint here is pretty rad and allows it to go all the way up as far as that there. Look at the way that comes out. That is nice. So that is a ball joint up there. And one thing I didn't know this could do is this. The shoulders can push forward past the torso section like that. So that is cool. So what I said earlier on about this not having as good articulation as some of these figures I've seen before, that doesn't seem to be the case. We can then spin the arm all the way around right here. We've got rotation at the upper arm here. We've got rotation in the middle. We've got an awesome double bend at the elbow. And when you do bend this arm, this little segment in here recesses in. So I'll try to bend just one joint so you can see exactly what that does. And well, seeing as the arm popped off, I can show you. When you bend the arm, that little bit recesses. When you straighten it out, then it kind of closes up like that. That's really nice. The wrist then has something similar in there, which allows it to bend up like so. And then we've got that normal ball joint. So when it comes to the ab crunch, we've got one up top right here and another one down below for a decent ab crunch. This little gray section down bottom does move up to hide the gap in there. But we do have that really annoying branding on the back. I hate this. You could have put it on the bottom of the foot or something. Popping it there on the back, that's not an awesome place. Anyway, when you do close that down, you can't really see it, I guess. Next up then, we have the rotation at the waist all the way around. Front skirting armor moves up. Side skirting armor moves up to there. We've got a double premium butt flap. Inside here we do have a dropping waist mechanism. So what that does mean is if you drop the leg down like so, it can swing forward at the hip for more kicky uppy action like that. I mean, just look how dynamic that looks. That's pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, there is the kick all the way up to the front. There it is then all the way out to the back. Can it pull off the splits? Not quite. They're ball joints, so that's as far as that goes. Next up, the bend at the knee, and we do have a collapsing segment here. Just like the arm, there is that bend. Very, very nice. I also really do like the way that the knee segment in here has been painted two different colors, so you can see a continuous armor segmenting kind of thing going on in here. That looks quite slick. Also, the part of the armor that goes in is spring-loaded, which is a cool little effect. Next up then, with that ankle on the ground, there he is all the way to the front at the ankle. We've got a bend at the toe right there as well, bringing him all the way to the back, foot staying on the ground. That's as far as he can get. As for the side-to-side pivot, we've got there to there. So not too bad at all. So yeah, no denying that the articulation here on the Gundam NT-1 is fantastic. Very, very nice. So now it's time to move on to the accessories, and there is a whole lot in here, so I'm not going to line it all up because it would take absolutely forever. Let's just take it one thing at a time. So including the two hands we've seen on the Alex for the entire review so far, we also have 9 more hands. That is a pair of widespread dynamic open hands, a pair of relaxed widespread hands, a pair of holding hands with trigger fingers, and a pair of standard holding hands. The last one is one blown in half for that iconic War in the Pocket final scene with the Zaku Kai. So now moving on to the weaponry, and we've got a pair of standard beam sabers. Now it is pretty cool that the Alex can reach around and grab them so naturally like this. That is awesome. So they can be stored up there when not in use. Oh, he lost the grip of that one. Oh, wow. That wasn't as seamless as I tried it to be. Now he's gone bald. The beams on these are incredibly impressive. As you can see when it's pointing directly at the camera, it's almost a different color to when it is not pointing at it because it pipes the light so well. It almost glows with an orange flamey glow. This, I have to admit, I'm super impressed by. Also, these beams are absolutely nothing like what you'd get with Gunpla. These are nice and fat in the middle, and they're not made out of that kind of annoying flexy material that you get with Gunpla that tends to warp. These are nice, hard, and pretty damn cool. And if that somehow was not enough, we've also got this super dynamic slashing beam in here as well. This also catches the light in the exact same awesome sort of way. It looks super dynamic. There is what it looks like from the side, in case you're curious. It's big, thick, crazy, and crackling with beam sabery energy. So attaching the beam rifle into the hands isn't the most unique or anything like that, but it is a little bit difficult. The hands are quite delicate, so be careful. The fingers are easy to, well, break towards the knuckles, so be careful while doing this. Vernier figures are all about bringing the action, and that is exactly what this does. Everything comes with some cool effect parts, including some shooting effects for using with the beam rifle. Once again, made out of the exact same stuff as the beam sabers, so it has that cool glowing effect. That looks pretty awesome right there, yeah? Pew pew pew! So next up then in here we've got an NT-1 use bazooka. So I'm not sure if a Gundam actually has to look down a sight or not. I assume it would be a little more advanced than one camera looking through a sight. That would actually be, you know, this sight on this somehow wiring through the hand via some kind of connection kind of point, as opposed to have to be, well, you know, physically looked through. But anyway, I digress. It attaches on very nicely because of the great articulation. You can line everything up in a beautiful sort of way. We also have a tilting handle on this, which helps line it all up. This little section up here, which I have no idea what it is. A locking mechanism for the magazine back here? I'm not sure, but that can move. We do not get any effect parts for using with this, but they are sold separately, it says, as a Hyper Bazooka Effect Part A and Part B. So if you do want some extra dynamic action, well, you have to go buy it. So the next thing then we've got in here is the shield. Around back we've got a connection point, as well as an optional handle as well. And in that usual Gundam way, it attaches onto the back of the arm, just like so. You can put it into whichever hand you want. I just put it in a widespread one because it's simpler, but you can actually put it in one of the holding hands too. But hold on! What are you meant to do if all of your equipment is gone and you've got some pesky colony invaders? Well, you greet them with your Gatling unit, of course. So popping that off, and yeah, as you can see, they're not actually under here. You have to attach them. These are incredibly nice looking, so they are cast in yellow from what I can tell, with some orange painted up top to give them that kind of burning, flaring, firing effect. That I adore. These are some of my favorite Gundam weapons right here, and I like those effects. Those are not the only effects we have in here. We also have a set of these blue Vernier boosts, which we get in a lot of these particular figures. So if you do get a few of these, you'll get a whole lot of them. And as you'll notice, you do not have enough for this kit, or should I say figure, to use them all at the one time. So you have to make a choice of 2 points. So they can pop into a lot of the points like the Verniers right here. So you can have your Alex looking like it's boosting into the air, firing off a load of shots. That is pretty cool. And you can stick these in a whole lot of different places. So there are holes in most of the Verniers, I think, actually, if not all. Even here to make it look like it's doing a bit of a quick dodge to the side. That is pretty cool. The other one I stuck in to the Vernier segment on the side of the backpack right there. Also, I did just notice that these machine guns can rotate, so you can rotate them all the way around, kind of change the angle. Watch that you don't knock off the effect part by accident. We've also got attachment points right there at the top of that, so for boosting directly forward. There are 2 in the butt down here, but they can't fit in together. There's not enough butt space. And we've got 2 in the bottom of each of the feet, so you can have a boost in like that, or take one of these out, pop it into the other foot like so, for that kind of boosting effect. I love these. I wish they would adopt them into Gunpla. I really do. They're so cool. So now working my way through the rest of the accessories, I noticed I missed one for using with the bazooka. That is a little clip section that can attach around here onto the butt like so, and then that can attach onto that like that, so you can mount the bazooka round on the butt. Next up, we've got this little handy dandy rack right here, and what this is for popping the hands onto when they're not in use, so they don't get all, well, scattered all over the place, depending on how you like to sort your stuff. And also this part can attach into that part and that part on another hand rack. So if you got a bunch of these particular figures, you can line them all up and keep them together. I should probably do that. So the last of the accessories we have in here are these little pieces right here. The Anime figures are all about being as true to the anime as possible, and these are for setting up the final scene that you see the Alex in War in the Pocket. Popping off the head, and man, I almost forget a lot of things. Another thing these things do that I wish Gunpla did, you get a spare V-fin in here, so if you do break the one that you've been using, you've got a spare, or just lose it. I knock my Gunpla all the time and lose the V-fins, so I'm glad this comes with a spare. Next up then, we attach on the alternate head, and yes, that is an alternate head. It's literally torn and melted across its shoulder. Pretty badass. Half of the backpack is removable. Actually, all of it's removable, but we only need to take off one piece. Then we attach on the melted, mangled, smashed piece. Next up, we've got this nice little cockpit accessory, which attaches on like so. That looks wrong. You just have to crunch the abs down a little bit more to get that to line up right. Next up, replace this whole segment here with the damaged part like so. Once again, some more battle damage. Actually, that's not lastly. We have to put on an alternate hand, which is missing some of its fingers in a very gnarly type fashion. And the last thing we have to do then is give it a beam saber, which is for cooking some burger. So this particular variation right here is for using with the Robot Damashii Anime version of the Zaku Kai. Sadly, I do not have that. I wish I did. I love the Zaku Kai. I love Bernie. I love burger. Actually, a burger would be pretty good right now. But either way, this looks pretty cool, but it is for setting up with the Zaku 2 Kai. So if you don't have that, it will look, well, I guess like what will be dragged away from the final scene of that particular series. And what can I say? It does look pretty cool. A nice extra, without a doubt. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and what can I say? I always recommend these figures. They can be a little bit on the pricey side, but I do feel they're worth it for the engineering Bandai puts into them. They are crazy. If you want something that looks like it jumped right out of the anime, that is what they're trying to achieve here, and I feel like they succeed every time. I remember the first time I seen one of these, I think it was the Hygog, and I did not expect what came out of that box. I thought it was going to be the same old robot Damashii from years ago. That is not the case. These specialize in cool accessories and killer articulation, and they're so much fun to play around with. If you can find one of your favorite mobile suits, I say go for it. Give it a go. They are so cool. They're in around the size of a high grade, so if you've got a Gunpla collection, you can squeeze them in and you wouldn't even notice. Anyway, as always, if you do want one of your own, link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Absolutely none of these videos would be possible without you guys, so thank you so much for watching this, watching all my videos, and a special shout out to those who support me on the channel memberships like Craig Jury, and over on Patreon like Brian Perez, Caleb Engelhart, Sean T, and Tyler Sanders.